Woo-hoo-hoo! I got Tigger. I got Tigger in the house.
Absolutely. Hi, Gillian. How are you?
I'm excited. I'm excited. This is
Good.
a fun live. I'm so ready to get stuck in. And I was just saying, Ashley is like Mr. Sunshine with all this yellow. I love it. I love it. So Ashley, go ahead and introduce yourself for anybody who doesn't know you, and then we'll get stuck right in.
Okay, so my name's Ashley Leeds. I'm based in the UK. I'm in sunny Devon. I've literally just walked back from the seaside. I sent Gillian a photo, and I'm known as the 15-minute guy. And the reason I'm the 15-minute guy is because we get too wound up with stuff and we go, I'm going to spend all this time. And so what I do is I've developed this training program on LinkedIn. It's just 15 minutes a day. And basically what I do is I do 15 minutes every single day for 1 week. And I tell everybody to block your diary out for 15 minutes. But then I say, block your diary out for the whole of the rest of your life. Because if you do 15 minutes on LinkedIn every single day, that's 65 hours of free marketing. Who doesn't want that?
Wow. I love that. I love that. I love that. And I love your energy. I love your energy. So today we are talking about simple strategies for planning out your content. And, I can't think of anybody better than Ashley because I have his book here. I'm going to put a plug in for the book, 101. I'm trying to read it backwards. 101 Ideas for LinkedIn. There we go. We got dueling books. And I was reading your book, Ashley, and I thought to myself, if I sat and did just three little things for every single content idea, I would have almost a year's worth of content. And I just went, I could answer that, simple things like what's on your phone? What's the story behind that picture on your phone? Really, really simple things. This is not brain surgery. And I thought, if I used my phone, I love to use my phone. And I thought if I used the Otter app on my phone, I could literally just dictate it and say, idea number 1, boop, 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 and be done. And I'd have almost a year's worth of content. So I thought it was a brilliant book. Good job.
Thank you. Well, the reason I wrote the book, right, is I get all these people on my workshops and I go, oh, that's brilliant. I know how to use it. I don't know what to write. What do I write about? And these people, they're really clever people. They know loads of stuff. They help people with their businesses and stuff like that. And it's all like, just talk about that. Just talk about that. And so I send out a little newsletter every single Monday. I call it my Monday nudge. It's just a little nudge to get you to do a little bit of content. And I don't struggle writing that because I just see content everywhere. I'm sat having dinner. I might be spaced out. And my wife goes, you're right. Yeah, I'm just thinking of a content idea.
I do too. But, sometimes I think we overthink it. So for instance, I went to the gym the other day and I was on the elliptical and I got bored. So I decided to go backwards and then it kept resetting and I was frustrated. So then I went, what is this like? It's like a metaphor that maybe sometimes don't get bored with what you're doing and try to go backwards. Keep going forwards. So I thought I could turn that into a post. So sometimes the simplest things, boom, right, can be content. And I think we think, oh, it's got to be so, this rocket science here, but it really doesn't, does it?
No, not at all. Not at all. I had so I do my 15 minutes. I'm actually running the workshop this week. I don't do it all the time. So I'm running it this week. And so right, done 50 minutes, off you go. But if you've got any questions, stay. And we had a bit of a debate. And someone said, oh, so-and-so's got 60,000 followers and all they do is just do fitness videos and doing this and doing that. And it's not giving me any business. I said, they probably do a little bit of business now and again, but that's what's sticking out in your mind. But if it's interesting, people are going to consume it. That's the thing. So if you're passionate about something, then write about it, even if it's got nothing to do with your business, because people are interested in other things that you do, which is why I talk about my music. People say, oh, what a great guitar. Da, 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 da. So every now and again, I'll drop a musical sort of thing in. Got nothing to do with me training you on LinkedIn or coaching accountants or bookkeepers or CPAs, because we're talking to America. But it shows me as a real person. Oh my goodness, I was learning to play the guitar. Maybe I can pick it up again. And I've had people, I used to work with guide dogs. I do it now and again, but we have trained 4 guide dog puppies. And because I've written about that, that's inspired people to actually go and get a guide dog, which, how incredible is that?
That's heart touching. That's heart touching. And it's like when people talk about maybe their pet's going through surgery, maybe they lost their pet, those kind of things. Those are the type of things where people go, I didn't even know you had a pet. And it's a conversation starter, and it flushes out your character. So for instance, this morning you sent me a lovely picture of you at the seaside. I love the seaside. I was a mermaid in my former life. I know it. I should not be in the desert. I shouldn't be here. There's no water. There's no water.
I knew you looked like Daryl Hannah. That's what it is.
Absolutely. And it's like, well, I lived in Israel once, and I swear I went to Israel for the sea. I went for the Mediterranean Sea. I just absolutely loved it. And I could see it from my apartment if I craned my head, but it was just like, I loved it. But you could take that picture, and that could be a post, just you, and talk about, you live by the sea, right? And what do you do living by the sea? How do you work when you live by the sea? And that's why you're the 15-minute guy, because you got to keep going back out there.
I've just flicked on the chat, the comments. There's loads of people there. Hi everybody, how are you doing?
Yay. Let's get some of those comments, and then we'll come back, because I do have a problem I saw that I'd like to ask you about. So, okay. So we have, of course, Jeff Young in the front row. Greetings, Gillian and Tigger. See, I've started a trend now with calling you Tigger, because you just have that, you just bounce. So we like the bouncing. We like the bouncing.
That's all right,
Looking forward to this topic. Namaste. We have Mike. Happy Tuesday from Tuxedo, New York. So it's wonderful. We have everybody tuning in from all parts of the world. We've got the lovely John Asperian, who of course we met through. And so we salute you. Here, let's do a salute together. Am I on the wrong way? I am, but it's okay. Right. It's okay. So he says, I'm here. Great to see you, Ashley, on your show. Gillian, repping the Brits. What does repping mean? So
representing, I'm guessing.
Oh, representing the Brits. Okay. And you actually did a post today talking about languages, and we said, like before we got live today, we talked about all the different languages that are English.
yeah, absolutely. I've got my sneakers on. And my pants.
Your traders.
And my pants. I've got pants on, don't worry.
And your traders. I love traders. Traders are fun. We have Catherine. Happy Tuesday from the UK too. What fun. So see, it's a bit of a battle here. We don't know who's coming in today, more of the US or the UK. We're going to have those Europeans hopping in too. Everybody else in the world is asleep, but that's okay. So Marcia says, hello, Gillian and Ashley. Hello, Marcia. Happy Tuesday from Pittsburgh, PA. So we have another American in the house today. With all the energy, Ashley can accomplish more in 15 minutes than most can in an hour. That's amazing.
Then I need a nap, Jeff.
Yes. And you actually we had talked about this before too, that you go multiple lives. So like that is also a form of content, is like when you're on a live, you can repurpose the content. So that was my question, Ashley. You talk in your book about repurposing content, because, you think about it, you make something, especially if you're doing video, when you're doing video, folks, it's like, don't just make it one and done, bring that back like the Terminator. Don't let it die, repurpose it. So can you give us a couple of tips on, first of all, how do you kind of keep track of, I did that video a year ago, 2 years ago. Like I just found a video the other day and I went, what is this gem that I had buried away on my computer? And I realized I don't have a good system for repurposing things. So can you give us a system?
I can.
And some tips.
I can. It's in the book. I've actually got a little chart in there. But if anyone's watching or listening, I've got a spreadsheet. And if they want, they can send me a message, and I'll send them my spreadsheet for tracking what you're doing. What I do, it's quite time consuming. But what I do is every single post that I do, I put it into a Word document, and then I post that as content on my website. So you can go back to my website and see all the posts. But what I also do is I actually analyze it. So I go through and I wrote this post because, and I suggest other ideas of how you could use that content to create your own post. But I also put notes on how many comments, likes, and impressions I get. So I get an idea of where I am. And as long as I get around about 1,000 impressions per post, I'm more than happy. I don't personally reuse my posts. But now and again, I go, oh, I can do that again. And I rehash it. I don't actually, I use the idea. And if you get my Monday nudge, you will see some themes coming through. Look, it's Wimbledon in the UK at the moment. Why wouldn't you write about Wimbledon, every single Wimbledon? And there's so many things you can write about. It's not just about the tennis, it's the strawberries, it's the weather, it's the umpires. There's loads of things that you can write about. And I think that's the other thing. I've just rattled off a load of ideas there just to do with tennis. And so don't just sort of like think tennis. Think about all the other things. There's queues at Wimbledon, and it's known for queuing, and that's it's a typical British thing. So you could write about that, and that could have something to do with in your business you don't have queues because you've got automatic software or stuff like that, and you just go down this little rabbit hole, and you can absolutely write about anything that you want to. So you can track it manually, or you can get some software. There's some software called Authored Up, and there's a couple of other bits of software out there that will track your content. But I want people to just do it in the moment and don't worry about it. And the thing is, right, I've got 7,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I get about 1,000 impressions on a post or thereabouts. So that means that 6,000 of them haven't seen that post. So if I do that again another day, maybe they'll see it. And the thing is, there's so much content there. Are people going to message me and go, "Oh, you only did that 2 weeks ago"? And I won't do it 2 weeks ago. I might, scones. I don't know if you get scones over in the US, but in the UK, we get these little cakey things. They're called scones. You cut them in half, and then you put jam and cream on them, and it's called a cream tea. And there's a big debate whether you put the jam on first or the cream on first. And every now and again, I'll bring that out, and it always gets loads and loads of comments. People absolutely love it. People go really mad and crazy. So there's nothing wrong with bringing out the odd thing now and again. But a lot of my content, I like to share ideas for doing stuff on LinkedIn. And so whatever your business is, talk about that as well, because we all need a hand. I work an awful lot with CPAs and bookkeepers and accountants, and I've got a thing of receipts here. They're all sorted. I know what they're doing, but I always bring it up because that's one of the things that small business owners worry about. So why not write about what to do with your receipts? Don't leave them on a magnetic clip. Don't leave them on a magnetic clip next to your phone.
I love that. I love that. And, I know that sometimes people go, well, I've already said that, but if I go back through my own content, I have so many different videos on captioning and the importance of captioning. And you could say, well, why didn't I just do one video? Because there was so many different angles. There was so many different programs. There was closed captions, open captions. Who's doing captions on YouTube, LinkedIn doing captions. There's so many different angles, and maybe I said it a little bit differently. So, I always don't think, oh, I've already said that, it's done. It's not done. It's everything old can be new again. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I'm trying to think of there's a movie out with Lady Gaga and some guy, and they're singing to each other. I can't think what the name of the movie is now, but they've rehashed that. That's its fourth iteration of the same film. We all know the story, but we all went out and watched it because Lady Gaga was in it. You thought someone in the chat, tell me what that song was.
I remember that. I know that film, and I don't remember it either. So bonus points to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think A Star Is Born. Maybe A Star Is Born.
Yeah, that's it. So, and there's been 4 different Star Is Born. Yeah.
Wow.
And so, but they've still made it.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same with your content.
I love it.
Here's another thing that I say to everybody that comes on my workshop. Because I work in the accounting space, and I have CPAs and accountants and bookkeepers on my workshop. The chances are there's always 1 or 2 on a workshop. And I think I've got 3 or 4 this month. And there's a young lady in the UK called Samantha Mitchum. And one year she started doing Tax Tip Tuesday. So every single Tuesday she sat in front of her camera and she talked about tax. Yeah, I know. But we need to know about it. And she did this every single Tuesday. So she started off again, I'm going to do a video every single Tuesday. And when you do that, when you say, I'm going to do this, everybody's watching, you've got to do it, haven't you? And this is using Pearson's law. So if you measure it and then tell somebody else, you've got more chance of it happening. So she did it for 52 weeks and then handed the baton to somebody else. During those 52 weeks, she has got business from individual videos, not just because of what she's doing, individual videos. So let's say, for example, she talked about an electric car. She may have had somebody contact her. Oh, so you're just talking about electric car. Can we have a little chat? End up having a little chat. That person then becomes a client, all because of that one video. And I've been on a live show with her, and we actually talked about that. And that's one of the things. So what I've said in every single workshop that I do, when we get to content on Thursday, I said, here's a good idea for you tax people. Do Tax Tip Tuesdays. Okay. I'm on my 32nd cohort. So I've had quite a few people coming through, Gillian. How many of those people do you reckon do Tax Tip Tuesday videos? How many do you reckon?
I would think all of them. I would think all of them.
Try again.
I'm terrible with math. Half?
None.
None.
Not one. Not one. Because the thing is, right, I'm a tax specialist. Why would I want to talk about tax? Because everybody else is talking about tax.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. I know. So whatever you do, don't go on Threads because everybody else is on Threads. Oh, everyone's on Threads. So why not do Tax Tip Tuesday? That's all you need to do. Tax Tip Tuesday. And you've got it nailed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I think that's, again, the overthinking it and saying to yourself, well, somebody else has already done it. And it's like, yes, but you haven't done it. You haven't put your spin on it. And you might make it easier. You might, there's so many different ways we can make something. And also too, maybe the other people don't see that guy because they're not in his network. They don't see his content, but they see your content. So I always think, Ashley, I don't know if this is crazy, but I always think if I get a brilliant idea to write a post, I need to do it, or else that brilliant idea will fly away to someone else. So I always like, oh, okay. I always grab my phone and I just put it in there. And then when I'm stuck, I just go through, oh, here was my little brilliant idea that I had in the middle of the night that I woke up and recorded. And now I've got a post. So, I just think somebody needs to hear it. That's why we get them. So let them go.
I took a photo of, there was an old car parked on the side of the road. And in the olden days, they didn't have electric starters. You had to put a handle in and turn it. And so in the fender, it is the fender, isn't it? The bump, we call it the bumper in the UK. There's a little shape hole in the fender. All right. And that's where you put this stick in to wind it up. All right. It was not ancient, but it would have had an electric starter, but it would have also had this one as well as a backup. All right. Because when they first put electric motors in, they weren't brilliant. And I took a photo of this car because one day I'm going to do a post. Do you have a backup plan? Yeah. Or from something that I saw in this car. And that's the thing. I just think content all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's like you almost have your content sunglasses on. So you put them on and you're like, look around the house and it's like little bells go off and it's like, oh, I could do something with that chair, that picture of the dog, and on you go. So you kind of have a content machine. So it's interesting because I saw somebody yesterday and they wrote one of those like newsletters, like I'm leaving LinkedIn, like, bye, I'm going. And I always feel sad when I read those because basically the person said, I can't keep feeding the content monster. it's draining me. And so I'm now going to kind of, like that meme with Homer Simpson disappearing into the bushes. So they said they were going to basically comment, but no more posts, because they said, I've said everything that I know to say. I can't feed the content monster anymore. But it's like, that's a negative outlook. It's not
a monster.
It's not a monster. So how do we stop seeing it as a monster?
Right. Okay. So what happens is people see me creating content every single day. Okay. Rain or shine and what have you. Oh, that's what you've got to do. No, you don't have to do that. If you, so LinkedIn calls someone a creator if they create one post in, I think it's a month or 2 months. I'm sure my friend John Esperian will answer that one. But that's a creator. If you go into creator mode, okay, you need to be doing 3 times a week. And I think that's really sustainable. So on a Tuesday, you do Tax Tip Tuesday. On a Friday, you do a gratitude post. And then on another day, you have a floating post. I was chatting to someone the other day and she was like, oh, I'm doing this, this, and this. And we've got this challenge, 100 days of 100 content. I'm like, why would you want to set yourself up to fail? Because you are going to fail. You cannot, it's not sustainable. And so the thing is, if you think of all the TV shows that are on, you get, Dallas used to be on once a week, didn't it? In the UK, we've got Coronation Street and we've got Coronation Street and we've got, I can't think of EastEnders, and they're on a couple of times a week. When you start having lots and lots, the plot lines start getting ridiculous because they can't write enough content. And that's the same thing with us. So if you turn around and say, right, I'm just going to do content every Tuesday, Tax Tip Tuesday, that's what I'm going to do. All right. And then you'll get into that habit and then maybe do something on a Friday. John's saying that LinkedIn never confirms what counts as active, but no post in 90 days is definitely inactive. So that's a good point, John. So it's just setting up something that makes it easy. And anyone that comes on my workshop, I say, just do 1 day a week. And what I try and do is, Dallas was always on a Saturday evening, okay, in the UK. Always on Saturday evening, about 8 p.m. You know when it's coming. You know when to expect it. You're going to look out for it. So if I'm starting off writing on LinkedIn and I've got to drop the kids off at school, I've got to go around and see grandma, and 10 o'clock on a Thursday is the best day for me to do content, then that's my slot for Dallas. Yeah. So every Thursday at 10 o'clock, I'm going to write something. And because I'm looking after the kids and I'm looking after grandma, I'm going to write how I run my business around my family. And each week, I'm going to give you a little installment of how it's going. Yeah. No one's going to care initially, but then they'll start getting, it's really interesting. And you hear of these little blogs that start and people turn it into a whole business. But what it is, all week you're thinking, right, what can I write on Thursday? What can I write? And by Thursday, you've got 3 or 4 ideas. By the following Thursday, you've got 5 or 6 ideas. 2 Thursdays time, you've got 10 ideas. Oh, maybe I could do a Monday as well then. And then that's what you do. But the trouble is, I'm not getting any engagement. Only 2 people have liked my post and 1 person have commented. So what's the point? And the thing is, we go back to Dallas. How many times did you write to, I can't think of the name of the guys used to see it. Aaron. It was Aaron, wasn't it? Who used to do that. But how many times did you write to them and say, oh, it's a brilliant episode this week. J.R. Ewing was great. Larry Hagman played a blinder this week. You never do that, do you? And that's exactly the same with your content. I was down at the sea a while ago now. I was on my paddleboard, minding my own business, and I'm doing this. And this guy said, Ashley. And I go, oh, hi, Stephen. How are you doing? And he said, your business, you're doing really well. That's amazing. You're doing this and you're doing that. And he told me everything that I was doing because he'd been reading it. He'd been watching my videos. Do you know how many times Stephen had given me a like or a thumbs up on my posts?
0, right?
Correct. How many times had he commented about how brilliant I was doing on my posts?
0.
Absolutely. But he knew exactly what I was doing. And guess what? If he was down the bar, or a restaurant or at the bathroom, and he was talking to somebody, and I would go, oh my goodness, I'm trying to do LinkedIn, I haven't got a clue. What do you think he's going to say to them?
Is it going to talk about you? Right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So just because people aren't engaging with our content, it doesn't mean they're not seeing it.
That's brilliant. And I found the same thing, that it's like, you just have to keep, put yourself out there. When I started lives, my first live, I got no comments, nothing. It's just like, I went live and it was just like, okay, but I kept showing up. I'm coming up to 3 years. So, it's a slow thing you have to do, but so if somebody said to you, should I delete my posts if they don't get engagement? What would you answer for that?
No, because I was listening to a podcast, and this lady, she did a podcast or something, and she didn't get any engagement. I can't remember what she was talking about. And she did it, and she thought, do I leave it up or not? Because it, and she just left it up. 6 months or 12 months later, she had a message from somebody, and she was talking about trauma or something like that. And this person had listened to that podcast, and 6 or 12 months later had messaged her to say, that podcast saved my life.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. We're sat here in our shed writing stuff. You don't know how it is impacting people or what it's doing for them. So no, don't delete it, because it may help one person.
Yeah. I'm the same way. So I'm glad you agree, because I just think we are not called to do this if that message isn't meant to be heard by somebody. And sometimes it's just a silent read. You're never going to get a comment, but like you said, who knows what good is coming out of that? It's like a ripple.
Absolutely.
You just drop that pebble and it ripples out, and we don't know how far it goes. No. So that's brilliant.
We've got a question from Teresa.
Okay. So let's see.
Should you post on Fridays or weekends?
Sorry, there's so many comments. I'm zipping through. Okay. Okay, go up. Darn. Okay.
So while you're trying to find that, should you post on Fridays or weekends? Why not, Teresa? What does it matter? Now, the thing is, when you create a post, all right, so let's say it's, what are we? We're 6:30. I don't know what time it is over there, but it's 6:30 here in the UK. If I write a post now, all right, and I get loads of comments on it before 8 o'clock, so that's 90 minutes, all right, it's going to do better than if I don't get any comments. So I'm going to go and have my dinner in a second, and so I'm not going to be looking at LinkedIn, so I'm not going to be engaging with it. So there's no point in me writing a bit of content now and posting it. So if you are on a Friday and you're thinking, right, I'm going to take an easy day today, then don't post. And it's same with Saturdays or weekends and what have you. So if you write a post on a Saturday, make sure that you're able to comment on it. Otherwise, it's not going to get the engagement and the reach that you want it to get. So that's what I say is just be mindful. Turn around to people. You see all these LinkedIn trainers that this is the best time to post, or no, this is the best time to post, and then you've got Richard van der Bloem has done loads and loads of testing. There is no right time to post. The right time to post is what's right for you. All right, and I hear stories of people getting up really early so they can post at this sort of time, so that they can do all of this, and this. And what they do is they go and they post at 7 o'clock. And then they're sorting out the kids, they're taking the kids to school, they're doing the packed lunch, they're walking the dog, and they don't get back to their desk till 11 o'clock. Meanwhile, that post has just died because no one's engaging with it. And what you've got to do is when someone engages with it, oh, thank you ever so much for commenting on my post, and and you do all of that. But so yeah, don't worry about when you post, just make sure that you're there to back it up.
I love that.
So some people say that the weekends is the best time to post because there's less corporate stuff out there. So it's you will find your happy lane.
Oh, I love that. That's a nice one. Find your happy lane, and stay in your lane. Stay in your lane because it's the happy lane.
Yeah, and don't look at what anybody else is doing. Just do what you're doing. And one of the things that I talk about in my training is monitoring stuff. Okay, and if you monitor it, you can see where you're going. All right, and don't compare yourself with anybody else. And I bring my numbers up, and I sort of like, oh, I'm really embarrassed because they're so high. I do this for a living, and I've been doing it a while. So don't compare yourself with me. Compare yourself with you next week and the week after and the week after, and just see how far you've gone. And I think what we do in our business and what we're doing with LinkedIn and everything else, we're sort of like, oh my goodness, we're looking at the top of that mountain because we're trying to get to the top of that mountain. And we never stop and look back to see how far we've come. And that's more important.
I agree. And sometimes if you zoom back out, you're really not at the top of the mountain. You're just a little higher than you were the day before, so sometimes we never get to what is the top of the mountain anyways, right? So we all just keep climbing, and sometimes we lean back and we pull other people with us too. So, I love mountains. I love mountains and everything. So Ashley, we have hit our 30-minute mark.
No way.
Yes.
I'm the 15-minute guy. I don't normally go this long.
Well, we did like times 2 because I'll count for 15 minutes of this talk. So you stayed within your 15 minutes. So it was really good. So I would tell everybody, please connect with you. If they want to connect with you, send you a lovely message, DM you, follow you, check out your book. I'll put the link in the show notes so that they can check out the link. It's a great book, guys. It's just, and it's an easy read. You just boom, 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 go through it. It's
one of those books that you can just leave lying around. What am I going to write about today? You open up any old page and you're sort of like, right, okay, there we go. Or you could have some dice, or you can have a number generator, 1 to 101, pick one of those and then have a go.
Yeah. So it's really, it's a great book. And like I said, I could just get out my phone, sit in the car. And as we're driving today, because I'm leaving for some vacation, as we're driving today, I could be like, boop, 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 and just, create a bunch of content and have it just sitting on my phone, ready to go. So
please tell me that you're the passenger. You're not actually physically in front of the steering wheel.
I'm the passenger. I have one of those husbands that gets in the car and it's like, you have to always be the passenger, Gillian. It's just like he likes the wheel. He likes the wheel. So before we end today, Ashley, can you give us a takeaway, some sort of final words of wisdom before we say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah. Just do it. Don't worry about what anybody else is thinking. Just worry about what you're thinking and just write it. And what happens is the more you write, the easier it becomes. I was absolutely rubbish at English when I was at school. I was in the bottom stream. I was in the top stream for science and maths and all of that, but I was in the bottom stream for English because I was rubbish. And I just went through life thinking I was rubbish at English. And here I am, having read a book, and I'm on a show today talking about writing content. So we can all do it. It's just practice, but you ain't going to have anything to practice if you don't start.
And that's the challenge, to just start, do something. One post is the way to start. Baby steps.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Ashley, for coming on the show today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll be back next week. And thanks again, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Cheerio, everybody. Bye-bye.